Happy Father's Day, everyone. Roger Hill of Wuthering Heights. This weather video is driven by 802cars.com, representing 802 Toyota, Twin Cities Subaru, and 802 Honda, all located off of Exit 7 on Interstate 89. Watching a little bit of convection that's forming along, mostly initiating off the higher terrain this morning. Some of that is now fanning out and spreading after our first cycle of convection in a few spots. And we'll kind of take a look at that. And one spot I'm going to illustrate here is in this vicinity here. We've had some thunderstorms, very quick, couple lightning strikes around the Groton Forest area, kind of northern and eastern Washington County. And then basically, as time has gone on, the storm has basically fallen apart. There it is, basically southeastern Walden, Cabot, sort of northeast of Marshfield, west Danville. And then basically the storm basically is, as it formed, it drifted a little bit from south to north. You can see some of the wind speeds here. And they're basically up to about 15 knots at 300 hectopascals. So very high up, the cirrus anvils are going to blow off generally that direction. But anyways, about 15 knots only. So very light winds all the way up through surface, except a little bit of a southerly drift. So consequently, once these storms form, they kind of die out, and then they form clear skies and sinking motion, kind of a bubble. And that's what we have going on right here, and you can kind of see that. Now, likewise, we're going to take a look across the lake with a good camera view of this group of thunderstorm cells right here. And this one is a really good one to watch because it kind of illustrates what ends up happening is that you get an anvil, and that basically depletes the updraft core, and it's a pulse storm. So let's take a look at that. Okay, this is courtesy of the WCAX webcam looking across Lake Champlain over toward the central and northern Adirondacks. And what you can see is there's no cumulus clouds here yet, and this is a little bit earlier on this morning. What we're going to do is run this ahead, and you're going to see the different stages of convection. And we got a few fair weather cumulus that are starting to form. They're basically lit up because the higher elevations are starting to get a little bit of sunlight, and that's producing that surface heating. And when it's higher up, it has a head start, and hence that's why the first terrain very much induced type cumulus begin to develop with the surface heating. So a little bit later on, we start to see the cumulus become a little bit better organized. Not quite towering cumulus here. We get into kind of levels of cumulus congestus. And running this a little bit further, see if I can push it there. These are starting to get into the towering cumulus mode. A tower here, a little better updraft core, and you can't see underneath the storm, but eventually this updraft core gets it to the point where it produces glaciation, and it will have moved and drifted north along the Adirondacks. So running that a little bit further. There we go. This is totally into glaciation just about right here, and this is about the same time, maybe just a little bit before this point. We'd probably start to see just a little bit of a rain shaft as we're starting to see some ice form, a little bit of glaciation, and then that rain shaft becomes a lot broader just about the same time the anvil is starting to form and spread out. And that's also when we have our first strikes of lightning, by the way. But this is the pattern here. This is a fully matured cumulonimbus cloud. It's still got a slight bit of updraft core to it. It looks like off to the side, mostly on its south. And what's happening here, it's raining itself out. This becomes one big downdraft. And what ends up happening is a lot of suspended ice, a lot of ice crystals, the anvil, which basically causes a shadow, kills any kind of surface development. You're kind of left with this. Here you can see underneath the clouds. So this is just a suspended anvil. It's the last part of the life cycle of a cumulonimbus cloud. Eventually, all that sinking motion goes into effect, and it just becomes a high cloud casting a shadow. Meanwhile, it's moved off. Now it's starting to ripen for new cumulus convection, and the cycle repeats. Roger Hill, Wuthering Heights.